All right, I think we have just about everybody situated, so we'll get started. I'd like to start off by saying thank you for coming to the Westland Police Department Awards presentation. I would like to start off tonight by asking a question to the audience. Who do you think are the most important people in attendance tonight? In a room lined with police chiefs, public officials, and officers that are about to receive awards, this is a very difficult question to answer, so I'll give you some time to think about it. Today, throughout the United States, interest in police careers is at an all-time low. All around the country, people are turning down jobs as police officers to pursue other career options. Turning on the nightly news is less motivational for the average police officer. Though there are countless positive interactions between the police and the public, the focus seems to be drawn back downward toward an extremely limited number of negative incidents. It doesn't matter where these negative stories come from, the officers working in any community can feel the effects of these rare but very prominently highlighted events. The dedication shown by these officers to stick through this is admirable, and clearly these officers are important, but they are not the most important people here tonight. Many of these officers will tell you that they don't care about receiving awards or getting recognition, but it is my hope that you don't believe them. Just like anything else, hearing that you have done a good job and that your work is appreciated is motivational. Though these officers may brush it off and tell you that it's not a big deal, I can assure you that one of them has noticed the same thing tonight. Every one of them has noticed the same thing tonight, and that is how many people have showed up for this ceremony. I can assure you that every officer here appreciates every family member, every friend, every elected official, and anyone else who has come here to show their support. Which brings me back to my original question, who do you think are the most important people here tonight? The answer is anyone not wearing a badge. You are the most important people here tonight. Every one of you who took the time to be here is crucial to the success of our officers and our success as a department. We need the support of our family, friends, elected officials, and the community to be able to accomplish our goals. So I thank everyone who has given their time to attend this event. There is nothing more important to the success of our officers and our department than the support that you provide us. You are the most important people in this room tonight, and I sincerely thank you for being here. I would now like to introduce the Westland Police Department Awards Committee. It consists of Lieutenant Dan SERRANO, Officer Jeffrey Krapodra, and myself, Sergeant Bob Wilkie. Every year, Westland police officers handle thousands of calls for service. In 2018, to be exact, it was 46,137. During these 46,000 calls for service, these officers have displayed remarkable levels of dedication, professionalism, and empathy. Many of these reports are referred to by the awards committee to be considered for special recognition. Unfortunately, we do not have the ability to publicly recognize each of these remarkable acts, and due to time constraints, only a fraction of these incidents can be recognized here tonight. Please realize that this is an extremely small sample of the positive work that is being produced by this police department. At this time, I would like to invite Grant Gomez to the stage to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and I would like to ask that we stand as the Westland Police Department Honor Guard performs the presentation of the colors.
Close, right? On. Hold, colors. Hold. Ready? Come. Reset. Up.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. God, amen.
Order. Up. Left. Punch. Order. March. Left. 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 Right. Left. 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 Right. Left.
All right, thank you. You may be seated. Before we proceed, I would like to acknowledge some special dignitaries that we have in the crowd tonight. I'd like to begin with introducing and thanking for coming Mayor William Wild. City Council President James Gabout. City Council Member Jim Hart. City Council Member Michael Londo. I'd like to acknowledge the 18th District Court judges in attendance, Mark McConnell, Sandra Cicerelli. To thank our City Clerk, Richard LeBlanc. Also in attendance are our Police and Fire Civil Service Commissioners, Grant Allen, Police and Fire Civil Service Commissioner McClendon. And from Livonia Police Department, I would like to thank Captain Ron Tagg for attending. Unfortunately, a few had to miss tonight, regrettably, but they sent their congratulations to the award winners tonight, and that includes Wayne County Commissioner Glenn Anderson and Civil Service Commissioner Dewey Reeves. So without any further ado, I would like to invite Mayor William Wild up to the stage to say a few words for us.
Well, good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us as we take a few moments to recognize and honor Westland's finest. Before I do that, we're going to start off with a little bit of levity tonight. So you'll probably see a lot of our officers tonight wearing some very sporty facial hair tonight. So I got to tell you, a couple weeks ago, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, I'm talking out of school a little bit, Chief, sorry. But in one of our updates, the chief was talking about there was a lot of the officers, and as we work on recruitment too, there has been a lot of interest in the ability to grow facial hair and wear it on the job. So times change, and so one of the things I thought I would do is start growing a beard so that, because I was in favor of it, so when the officers wanted to grow a beard, they could say, hey, the mayor's got a beard, why can't we have one? So now that you guys all get to grow a beard, I get to shave mine. So, but everybody, you guys look great tonight, and thank you, Chief, for that recognition. I'd like to start off tonight by recognizing the Westland Police Honor Guard. They did a great job here tonight. They do a great job for us every time they're out. They also, in the past year, were selected to post the colors at Little Caesars Arena for the Law Enforcement Recognition Night. So how about if we give them a big round of applause? They do a great job, and they make that look really easy, but they work really hard to pull that off as smooth as they do. Tonight's ceremony not only recognizes officers from Westland, but residents as well. They go above and beyond to help keep our all-American city safe. We'd also like to recognize some of our neighboring law enforcement officers from Garden City and Livonia, who we're going to talk about here a little bit later. We thank both of those communities for their partnership to help keep our city and our borders safe. Westland's focus on police community partnerships has not only helped build better relationships in and around Westland, but it really has gone a long way towards reducing crime. Over the last 10 years, we've seen reduced numbers in both violent crimes and property crimes. And Westland's crime statistics for 2018 were at their lowest level in the last 10 years. I think we deserve to give their officers a big round of applause for that. So with that, we thank them for all that they do, and we once again recognize you for spending a few moments with us tonight as we honor Westland's finest. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Lieutenant Dan SERRANO from the Westland Police Department on the Awards Committee, and I guess we're going to start off right now. So if I can get Officer Derek Trasper and K-9 Narco to the stage. You can do it. On October 13th, 2018, at approximately 8:30 p.m., Officer Derek Trasper, along with his K-9 partner Narco, were on what some people call routine patrol in the area of Cherry Hill and Newburgh. As police officers know, there's no such thing as routine patrol. While stopped at the red light, Officer Trasper surveyed the intersection for any suspicious activity, and he found it. Officer Trasper observed an individual outside the CVS store located at the northwest corner of the intersection. The individual removed several items from his backpack and placed them against a small brick wall along the east side of the CVS property. The individual then put the backpack back on and entered the CVS store. Officer Trasper went to investigate what was disregarded and placed against a wall. It was at that time that he discovered a mix of household items, makeup, and batteries, all of which were new, unopened, and left abandoned by the subject that just walked into the CVS with an empty backpack. Based on the way the items were disregarded, where they were placed, and where the subject went after he left them, Officer Trasper concluded that the items were most likely stolen, and the subject was now in the store filling up his backpack once again. Officer Trasper was about to call for a backup unit when the subject exited the CVS store with what appeared to be a full backpack. The subject was so intent on walking away from the store that he started walking directly towards Officer Trasper. Apparently, the subject realized he was walking towards the police with a backpack full of stolen items and decided to change course and start to walk away from Officer Trasper. Officer Trasper stopped the subject to talk to him, and that was when the manager of the CVS store exited the store, stating that the subject had just filled up his backpack with stolen items and had fled out their store. Here's a short video clip from that night.
Sir! Come here for a sec. Is this all your stuff here? You don't have any weapons on you, do you? I'm just going to check you real quick. Where are you coming from?
Getting off the bus.
Because I seen you put all that stuff there just a minute ago. Take your backpack off.
He was loading stuff up in that bag there.
Did he pay for it?
No, he didn't.
Okay. Put your stuff right up here. Okay.
Officer Trasper immediately placed the subject under arrest for retail fraud. A check on the subject showed that the subject was on parole and wanted by the Michigan Department of Corrections for absconding from parole. Officer Trasper proved the point that there is no such thing as routine patrol. A good police officer is constantly on the lookout for anything suspicious, and when he finds it, he takes action, just like Officer Trasper did. At the start of every shift, it's every officer's goal to interrupt a crime in progress. That doesn't always happen, but when it does, we call that good police work. For his constant dedication to providing the best police services possible to the citizens and businesses of the city of Westland, even while on routine patrol, Officer Derek Trasper is hereby awarded the Westland Police Department Individual Commendation Award. And that's what we incident incident-free. Next to the stage, I'd like to call up Officer Kevin Smith and Officer Curtis Johns, if they're here. On Saturday, June 16th, 2018, at approximately 5 o'clock a.m., a citizen called the Westland Police Department to report two subjects had just broken into a Subway sandwich store located at 2735 South Wayne Road. Both subjects were seen running to the back of the store with what appeared to be a small safe. Westland officers responded and found the front door of the business shattered. A check of the business showed that the safe had been stolen, and it appeared somebody was trying to use the touch screen on the register. Officer Johns interviewed the witness and based on his statements and direction of travel that the suspect took, Officer Johns was able to retract the steps and locate the stolen safe, which was empty, along with a wig apparently being worn by one of the subjects. Officer Smith, the crime scene evidence tech on the shift, was called to the scene to process and locate evidence. Officer Johns remained at the scene until the store owner arrived. Once on scene, the store owner stated he had security video of the incident and reviewed the video with Officer Johns. The store owner was able to identify the main subject who was trying to use the touchscreen on the register and was wearing a wig. It was a former employee. This information was passed on to Officer Smith, who had just been assigned to road patrol after working as a community police officer. Knowing the subject's name, Officer Smith reached out to several residents in the neighborhood and quickly learned that the suspect owed several people money and that they were more than willing to help Officer Smith locate this individual. 4 days later, while off duty at the time, Officer Smith learned of the location of the suspect and notified on-duty officers who quickly arrested the suspect. The suspect was found to be wanted for a probation violation out of Saginaw, Michigan. For their attention to detail, constant commitment to apprehend the criminal element, whether on duty or off, Officer Curtis Johns and Officer Kevin Smith are hereby awarded the Westland Police Department Individual Commendation Award. Good job. Now, Sergeant Wilkie.
All right, could I please call up Livonia Police Officer Fitzsimmons? Quite often, quite often, police officers are described as having a different type of mentality than other people in society. When people hear someone firing a gun, they wisely run from the situation in order to avoid a life-threatening situation. Police officers, however, were neither born with this instinct or they overcome it when the public is depending on us to protect them. This case is somewhat different, but the same principles apply. On May 9th, 2018, Police Officer Bradley Fitzsimmons was not on duty, but this detail did not prevent him from fulfilling his duty to society. As he passed the Westwood Village apartment complex on this night, he noticed flames coming from one of the buildings. Officer Fitzsimmons' police instincts quickly kicked in, and just like running toward the sound of gunfire, decided that he would rather act to protect people who may be in danger than assure his own safety. Officer Fitzsimmons did not hesitate and ran toward the apartments and arrived before the police were there and able to evacuate anybody from the location. Officer Fitzsimmons did not stop when the Westland Police Department arrived and continued to assist us by checking other apartments for residents. Regardless of where they are employed, police officers embody the same morals and principles. Many police officers attract this profession as an opportunity to help those that need it the most. Livonia Police Officer Bradley Fitzsimmons is no exception to this rule, and as a result of his actions, he is awarded the Westland Police Department Certificate of Merit. Congratulations. Please call up Officer Trosper, Officer Aldini, Officer Teschendorf, and Sergeants Humphrey and Sergeant Farrar. On July 22nd, Officers Teschendorf, Aldini, and Trosper were dispatched to a run where a suspect was attempting to kick in the back door of a home. Officers quickly headed toward the location, but prior to their arrival, they were informed that the suspect had broken out a rear window of the home and may possibly be inside. Officer Teschendorf was the first to arrive and observed the subject standing on the side of the house. Upon approaching him, the suspect took advantage of a large head start and he fled through nearby backyards. Officer Aldini arrived in the area and caught sight of the suspect for a short time before he again ran away from him as well. Following the suspect's direction of travel, Officer Trosper and Officer Teschendorf strategically positioned themselves in the suspect's direction of travel, where they again observed him running. This time, however, he was not able to evade the officers. Officer Teschendorf and Trosper were able to catch the suspect and handcuff him despite him continuing to resist arrest. Upon checking the home, officers discovered that the back window had in fact been broken out. The good police work did not end there, as the Westland Police Department Detective Humphrey handled the investigation. Through questioning, Detective Humphrey was able to obtain a confession from the suspect that he did in fact break the window with the intent to steal the items from the home. Once again, the good police work did not end here. Due to the excellent communication between Detectives Farrar and Humphrey, Detective Farrar heard about this incident and considered that the suspect may be involved in another similar home invasion that he had been investigating. Detective Farrar interviewed this suspect and obtained a confession from him and found that he was responsible for this home invasion as well. Due to the superior police work displayed by the officers on the scene, Officers Teschendorf, Aldini, and Trosper, this suspect was caught before he was able to complete a serious felony. Due to the excellent follow-up, Sergeant Humphrey was able to secure a suspect on a warrant for one count of felony home invasion and 1 count of resisting arrest. Additionally, he was charged as being a habitual offender for committing his 4th offense. Due to the work to bring a habitual felony offender to justice, Officers Teschendorf, Trosper, Aldini are awarded department citations. And due to their investigations and their teamwork, Sergeants Humphrey and Farrar are awarded unit commendations. Now I'd like to hand it over to Officer Jeff Capote.
I'd like to call up Officers Landis, Officer Warner, and Officer Daniels from the Garden City Police Department. On the early morning of November 16, 2018, Officer Landis conducted a traffic stop on a vehicle he suspected to be a drunk driver. Officer Landis spoke with the driver, and his suspicions were soon confirmed. While speaking with the driver, Officer Landis observed numerous signs of intoxication. Upon asking the driver to exit the vehicle, Officer Landis started to conduct a pat-down of the suspect for weapons. Officer Landis then felt the handle of a pistol on the suspect. At that point, the suspect pulled away from Officer Landis and tried to flee. Officer Landis was right on the subject and tackled him to the ground. Now on the ground in a fight for his life, Officer Landis was able to pull the pistol from the suspect's waistband and throw it in a safe direction. You can see a little bit of what occurred here.
Okay. All right, Ms. Walter, what I'm going to have you do, okay, I'm going to have you step out of the car, do some field sobriety test for me. Okay? All right, do you have any weapons on you at all? No. Okay, I'm going to pat you down. I do with everyone I talk to, okay? Go and turn around, put your hands right back in, lift your fingers like a brain.
Can I ask you a question, though?
Yeah, can I just pat you down real quick? And then you can ask while I'm doing that. What's your question, sir? What's that?
What did I do wrong?
Well, the reason I stopped you again was because of the way that you were driving, okay?
How was I driving?
Okay. When I asked if you had any weapons on you.
I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm not doing anything wrong.
During the struggle, Officer Landis was immediately able to call for backup. During this struggle on the ground, the subject tried to pull Officer Landis' own department pistol from his holster. At the point during the struggle, the suspect actually got on top of Officer Landis and attempted to choke him. Officers Warner and Daniels, responding from Garden City Police Department, hearing the calls for help, arrived on scene. Officer Warner ran up and deployed his department taser, immediately incapacitating the suspect, and Officer Daniels took the suspect to the ground and handcuffed him and was able to secure him. Upon further inspection of the pistol the suspect had, it was fully loaded with one in the chamber ready to go. This suspect was later convicted with assault with intent to do great bodily harm, attempting to disarm a police officer, and was a habitual drunk driver. He was sentenced to 60 to 20 years in prison. For their actions in the fight for life, Officer Landis is awarded the Westland Police Department departmental citation. Officers Warner and Daniels from the Garden City Police Department are awarded the Westland Police Department Certificate of Merit. My next award is for a civilian award. In the evening of May 16, 2018, numerous 911 calls came into the Westland Police Dispatch Center for a fire at the Westwood Village apartment complex. There was a fire in apartment 201. The tenant of the apartment left the pot on the stove and went to the store. That pot started a grease fire. Matt Preby of the Westwood Village Apartments was on his nightly checks at the complex when he noticed a bright orange glow coming from the second floor of the door wall. He entered the building and he could smell smoke. He immediately called 911 and sprang into action. Matt began to knock on everyone's door in the building and get them evacuated safely. While evacuating the building, he found the tenant of the apartment returning home. He was provided the key to the apartment and entered the apartment, putting his own safety in jeopardy. While in the apartment, Matt observed the stove engulfed in flames. Knowing there was a fire extinguisher in the hallway, he grabbed that and re-entered the apartment to put out the fire. It was at this time the Westland Fire and Police Department were arriving on scene. Numerous witnesses stated that Matt from the apartment complex had already entered the apartment and put the fire out. Matt was later treated for smoke inhalation by the Westland Police Department. For his efforts for putting his own life in danger and saving others, Matt Preby is awarded the Westland Police Department Citizens Award. Matt was unable to join us tonight, and Marco Schulmeister from the Westwood Village Complex is here to accept the award on his behalf.
All right, next I'd like to call up Sergeant John Turalski and Officer Eric Munson. On April 5th, 2018, at approximately 3:35 a.m., the Smoke Shop Tobacco Store, located at 8296 North Wayne Road, was broken into. The front glass was smashed out, and 4 subjects, with their faces covered and wearing gloves, entered the store and stole approximately $4,000 worth of tobacco products. They were in and out of the store in less than 2 minutes. On April 26th, 21 days later, the same smoke shop was hit again by what appeared to be the same subjects. All subjects were wearing the same clothing, broke out the same window, and stole approximately $3,000 worth of product this time. Sergeant Turalski was assigned one of the cases and began checking area businesses with security cameras that may covered some portion of a roadway in an attempt to get a vehicle description. He was able to get a partial description of 2 vehicles involved, a light-colored pickup truck and a station wagon. That was just not good enough. Sergeant Turalski continued to expand his search of area security cameras looking for those 2 vehicles at or around the time of the burglaries. His search expanded to over a mile away from the burglary location, and that was where he was able to locate gas station video of both vehicles together, a white U-Haul rental truck and a gold color, older model Ford Taurus station wagon. Sergeant Turalski passed on this information to all Westland Road Patrol officers, along with still photos of the subjects during the burglaries. These photos showed the clothing all 4 subjects were wearing. On April 28th at approximately 4:00 a.m., Officer Eric Munson was on, once again, routine patrol in the same area as the recent burglaries, when he spotted an older model gold Ford Taurus station wagon with 4 people inside of it and a broken taillight. Officer Munson stopped the vehicle, and while talking to the driver, he learned the driver did not have a driver's license. He also noticed that there was a purple hoodie with white lettering on it in the back seat, the exact same hoodie he saw in the photos of the burglary suspects. Of course, on the floor of the back seat was a pair of bolt cutters and a sledgehammer, too. Needless to say, backup units arrived, all subjects were arrested, and additional evidence was found in the vehicle. It was then learned that all 4 subjects were on parole for burglary. All 4 subjects would either confess or give partial confessions. One additional subject from Fenton, Michigan, would later be arrested in Detroit by Sergeant Turowski and members of the Westland Police Department Detective Bureau. For their consistent dedication to doing the best job possible, to providing the best service possible, and to bringing the criminal element to justice, Officer Eric Munson and Sergeant John Turowski are hereby awarded the Westland Police Department Commendation Award. Next, I'd like to call up Joshua Hussein and Zenowa Ajariel, if they're here. You can come on up. On January 8th, 2019, numerous Westland police and fire personnel responded to Warren Road and Parkcrest Drive, the north exit to the Myers parking lot, for a report of a car that had just pulled out onto Warren Road from Myers and the car was on fire. Officers and fire department personnel were quickly on scene and found an empty car fully engulfed in flames. Officers checked with several citizens and located the driver, an elderly citizen, Gloria, and 2 witnesses, Joshua Hussein and Zenowa Ajariel. Gloria was visibly shaken but not injured. She stated she was leaving the Myers parking lot when she turned onto Warren Road. Her vehicle engine compartment burst into flames. She stated when the car came to a stop, it was filling up with smoke. She was trying to get out when she was helped by 2 men, Joshua and Zenowa. Here's a brief video from that night.
I was coming this way. I was coming this way. I saw from one side of the road there was flames all over, and she screeched all over.
49 Radio 100.
This in the cup, and then came over here. I mean, there was flames everywhere, so I quickly parked.
Okay.
Ran right over there because I didn't see her get out of the car. So the flames were everywhere. So I opened the door, gave her, hugged her, and kind of pulled her out.
Okay.
Then,
So I was pulling up to the right, and I saw, I don't know how much, she just turned out of the parking lot there, and I saw a couple sparks drop from her car, and then I realized there was smoke coming. I looked in my rear view, and by the time she got like by that parking sign, poof, the whole car come in and she swerved over this way.
Time out.
Zenowa stated he was driving east on Warren Road when right in front of him he observed Gloria's car burst into flames and strike the curb on the north side of Warren Road. Zenowa said he quickly exited his vehicle and also helped Gloria out of her car along with Joshua and get away from the fire. This is going beyond what a good neighbor would do. Both these men decided in a split second and without hesitation to disregard their own safety and run towards a burning car in order to help a complete stranger. For their bravery, courage, compassion for anyone in need, even someone in a life-threatening situation, the Westland Police Department is proud to recognize and award Joshua Hussein and Zenowa Ajariel the highest award we can present to a private citizen, the Westland Police Department Citizen Recognition Award. Sergeant Wilkie.
Can I please call up Westland Police Service Aides, Peter Bednars and Stephen DeMars. There are many working parts to a police department. Many of these parts are not readily visible to the public, but to the police department's mission could not be achieved without them. One of these positions is that of the police service aide. These men and women are non-sworn personnel whose work focuses on prisoner care, but includes many other tasks that are essential to the efficient operation of our police department. On February 18th, 2018, PSA Peter Bednars and PSA Stephen DeMars were working the afternoon shift when it came time to do prisoner checks, one of many that they had done that day. Upon reaching the cell block, a prisoner spoke with PSA DeMars and told him that he was having a hard time being incarcerated and that he was upset. This is a very common occurrence for police service aides, as they rarely have guests that are excited about their accommodations. After their conversation, PSA DeMars sensed that this situation was a little bit different, though, and that there was something that wasn't right. He completed the remainder of his cell checks, but then instead of walking back to his work area, decided to stop back on this prisoner and check on him again. Thankfully he did, as he now observed the prisoner to have one end of a blanket tied to his cell door and the other end tied around his neck. PSA Bednarz reacted quickly. He used the police radio to call for help and then quickly opened the cell. Both PSAs DeMars and Bednarz entered the cell and restrained the prisoner so that he was not able to use the blanket to harm himself. These two police service aides were not only able to restrain the prisoner, but were able to remove the blanket from around his neck and to place him into handcuffs to prevent any further attempts at harming himself before he could receive treatment. Due to the actions of these two police service aides, this prisoner was given mental health help that he so desperately needed before he was able to make a life-ending decision. Because of their actions on this day, PSA Bednarz and DeMars are presented with the Westland Police Department Individual Commendation Award.
Congratulations.
I'd like to invite up next Sergeant McCrae and Officer Donald. On May 2nd, 2018, a resident of Westland observed a strange man in her backyard in the early morning hours. She yelled at him to leave, and assuming that he was up to no good, called the police to report him. Little did she know, this encounter was far from being over. As she waited inside her home, the man kicked her door in and entered her home. He immediately grabbed her and forced her to the ground. He repeatedly attempted to force himself on her, but she refused to give in and fought back against her intruder. A short time into this assault, the victim and the suspect saw headlights, and she and the suspect believe it was the police arriving. She told the man that she had called the police, and this prompted him to get up and run out of the home. The police arrived that evening and tried everything they could to locate the suspect, but were unsuccessful. The responding officers did whatever they could to investigate and offer aid to the victim, but as is in many common cases, the case had to be handed over to an investigator. Sergeant McCrae took over the investigation of this case, and after speaking with the victim at the police station, his investigation moved to the victim's home, where she decided not to return with Sergeant McCrae. Officer Donald and Kozak were assisting Sergeant McCrae with the investigation when Officer Donald observed a man matching the description of the suspect coming toward them. Officer Donald attempted to call the subject over to talk to him, and despite his initial hesitation, the man finally approached him. After speaking with the man, Officer Donald recognized him as someone who was a person of interest in a similar case in a nearby city. Donald and McCrae then continued to talk to the subject. The subject quickly offered up an alibi and stated that he had been with someone else the night of the crime. Not taking his word for it, Sergeant McCrae was able to contact the person who the man said he was with and quickly determined that the man was being deceptive. Sergeant McCrae and Officer Donald continued to ask questions. After pointing out many inaccuracies in his story, the man finally confessed to being the person responsible for the incident the night before. The instincts displayed by Officer Donald to spot the man and connect him to this crime, as well as Sergeant McCrae's continued follow-up, meant that these officers had quickly taken a dangerous man out of this Westland neighborhood without any unnecessary delay and immediately placed him into custody. After a great deal of continued investigation, the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office approved a 5-count felony warrant for the man stemming from his actions on this night. Due to the great police work that identified a suspect and the great investigative skill that quickly turned the suspect into an arrestee, Sergeant McCrae and Officer Donald are presented with the Westland Police Department Commendation Awards.
I'd like to call up Officers Neville, Richardson, Ute, Paris, Sergeants Fruit, Turalski, Humphrey, Bobby, McCrae, Boucher, Farrar, Gazdecki, Lease, Vidori, and Lang. Sorry, that's a lot of people. On August 14th, 2018, the Westland Police Department received a frantic 911 call stating that a pedestrian had just been run over on Hines Drive. The Wayne County Sheriff was already on scene. Normally, the Wayne County Sheriff would handle this scene as it's patrolled by them on a daily basis. On this tragic day, Westland was advised that Corporal Lee Smith of the Wayne County Sheriff Office was the victim who was run over and killed. All hands were on deck to help find the killer who fled the scene. The Westland Police Accident Response Team was dispatched to the scene, along with the Westland Police Detective Bureau and Westland SIU. Witnesses advised police that a black SUV struck the victim and fled the scene eastbound on Hines. The witness attempted to catch up with the subject, but was unable to. An all-area message was sent out to the area police departments advising them that Westland Police was looking for a possible black SUV in the death of Corporal Lee Smith. Also, all local news was advised. Officers from the Westland Police Department began a huge canvass for any surveillance footage available showing the black SUV on or near Hines Drive. Within days of the incident, sergeants from the Westland Police Department Detective Bureau were able to locate numerous surveillance videos showing the black SUV exiting Hines near Telegraph. They also found videos showing the vehicle going north and southbound on Telegraph. Watching days of surveillance video, the Detective Bureau was able to ascertain that they were looking for a black Buick Enclave with heavy front-end damage. Following the surveillance video, the detectives were able to determine that the vehicle actually ended up near Telegraph and Michigan Avenue. Continually searching surveillance video of hundreds of businesses up and down Michigan Avenue, they believe that the subject may live in the area. Along with large amounts of news coverage, the detectives searched night and day for the suspect. It would only be a matter of time before the suspect was located. Here's some news footage from that day.
But first, we're following the manhunt for the person responsible for hitting and killing an off-duty Wayne County Sheriff's Sergeant. You're looking at both ground video and video from Sky 4 of the scene this afternoon. That tops our news here at 6.
Deputy Lee Smith was a longtime veteran of the Sheriff's Department. He was out for a jog this morning at around 10:30 on Hines Drive, west of Middle Belt Road. As he was running on the side of the road, he was hit by what police are describing as a black Buick Enclave. That driver took off, and now police are desperately hunting for the person responsible. Meanwhile, we're learning more.
Deputy Lee Smith will long be remembered for his dedicated service. Shaken Sheriff Benny Napoleon spoke about the officer he came to know well.
We lost a true hero, someone who was a valued member of this agency, and someone that will be sorely missed.
On August 16th, 2 days after the incident, Westland Police received a call that the subject was in the Garden City Hospital. While in the hospital, the suspect told staff to call the police and that he was the one that ran over the sheriff. The suspect also advised that the car was on Michigan Avenue near an apartment complex. Detectives went to the area, located the black Buick Enclave with heavy front-end damage. Evidence was collected from that vehicle that directly linked that SUV to Corporal Smith. This suspect was later tried, pled guilty, and will now spend 15 years in prison. For their tireless efforts over the 2 days of intense investigating, Officers Neville, Richardson, Ute, Paris, Sergeants Fruit, Turalski, Humphrey, Bobby, McCrae, Boucher, Farrar, Gazdecki, Lease, Vidori, and Lang are all awarded the Westland Police Department Unit Commendation. For this next award, I'm also going to ask Sergeants Turalski, Bobby, McCrae, Boucher, and Gazdecki to stay. I'm also going to invite up Officers D'Amico, Pleer, Johns, and then Livonia Officers Morgan and Christie. On December 20th, 2017, at approximately 10:30 a.m., Westland officers were dispatched to North Walton Street for a domestic violence assault, where a female was unconscious. When officers arrived on scene, they were met by family of the victim on the porch. They stated that the victim was inside on the floor and covered in blood. Officers checked the location and found the victim on the floor, not breathing. Officers at that time were unable to locate any suspects. Family and friends advised that the victim's son was the suspect and that he had fled northbound. A description of the suspect was given out to responding units and area departments advising the subject fled the scene and may be armed and dangerous. The scene was secured by officers and turned over to the Westland Police Department Detective Bureau for processing. While on scene, detectives began putting pieces of the story together. Officers from the Westland Police Department also began to search the area for the suspect. Nearly 3 hours later, officers from the Livonia Police Department were in the area of Joy and Donna in the north end of Westland. Officers Morgan observed a male walking east on Joy Road who fit the description of our murder suspect. Officer Morgan exited the patrol car and approached the suspect with caution, knowing that the suspect still could be armed. Officer Morgan asked this suspect for his name and identification and was given a false name. While speaking with the suspect, Morgan observed the suspect have blood on his face and knew that this could be the wanted man out of Westland. Officer Morgan then ordered the suspect to lay on the ground at gunpoint. The suspect then turned from Officer Morgan and ran. Officer Morgan discharged his department service weapon at the suspect as he ran southbound and gave chase. Officer Morgan advised Livonia Dispatch that the suspect was southbound. Officer Christie arrived in the area and started looking for the subject. Officers Christie and then Ute located the suspect in the backyard of a home on Donna. While in the backyard, the suspect attempted to flee again. Officer Christie discharged his department service weapon to get the suspect to stop. The suspect finally gave up and complied with officers. The suspect was handcuffed and found to have been shot in the thigh. A search of the suspect found that the suspect was still in possession of a kitchen knife from the earlier homicide. We have some body cam footage from that day.
Let me see. Get it. Let me see your hands. Show me your hands. Show me. He's right there in the corner. Let me see. Get it. Get on the ground right now. Get on the ground. Get on the ground. Let me see your hands. Don't move.
This suspect was taken to the hospital and later released and charged with the murder of his mother. The suspect later pled guilty and has been sentenced to 60 years in prison. For their role in bringing a homicide suspect to justice, Officers D'Amico, Pleer, Johns, Ute, Sergeants Turalski, McCrae, Gazdecki, Bobby, and Boucher are awarded the Westland Police Department Unit Commendation. Officers Morgan and Christie from the Livonia Police Department are awarded the Westland Police Department Certificates of Merit.
Before they get too far, Sergeants Farrar, Turalski, and Vidore. Every community has a few businesses that almost everyone knows and loves. Sometimes it's because of the product it serves, and sometimes it's because of the friendliness of the staff. In the case of the Nautilus Sub Shop, it's because of both. When the owner was attacked, there was a very clear reaction of outrage throughout the entire community. Many took to social media to express concern and to share their positive stories about the business, particularly in regards to the owner. October 26th started off like any other day at the Nautilus Sub Shop. The owner, who goes by Bill, was working with one other employee. The employee had to leave for a period of time, leaving Bill to work alone. When the employee returned to work about 2 hours later, he returned and found him badly injured. After Bill was taken to the hospital, the Westland Police responded to the Nautilus Sub Shop and began an investigation. It didn't take long to find out that Bill had been seen with a former employee shortly before he was assaulted. After thorough investigation, Sergeants Farrar, Turalski, and Vidori had developed a suspect. Unfortunately, developing a subject was only part of the job, and locating him was another. Despite the lack of a registered address or any other good leads, detectives aggressively continued their investigations and were able to track the suspect down and place him under arrest less than 3 days after this assault occurred. As a result of their hard work, the suspect in this case was charged with assault with a dangerous weapon, assault with intent to do great bodily harm, and armed robbery causing serious injury. These charges led to the conviction of this suspect and will have him incarcerated for a period of time ranging from 14 to 44 years. Due to the diligence shown by these detectives, Sergeant Farrar, Sergeant Turalski, and Sergeant Vidori are awarded with the Westland Police Department Unit Commendation Award.
Guys, I'm gonna have you stay up here. All three of you. In addition to them, I'm also gonna call up Officers Richardson, Neville, Compton, and Strohauer, Sergeants Turalski, Bobby, Boucher, Gazdecki, Farrar, Lease, Vidori, and Lang. In July of 2018, Westland, along with numerous other surrounding cities, were hit with a rash of business burglaries and ATM smash and grabs. Suspects have been using stolen vehicles to ram closed businesses and steal their ATM machines. The issue with this case is there's not many witnesses and very little evidence for police to go on. There were 9 incidents in the surrounding communities that this happened. When these cases are sent to the Westland Police Detective Bureau, it is up to the detectives to locate the evidence and solve these crimes. With similar events in the area, detectives were able to collaborate with other police departments and gather surveillance footage from numerous businesses in and around the crime scenes. Detectives were able to put together a list of possible suspect vehicles. Those suspect vehicle descriptions were given out to the road patrol in hopes that they may locate matching vehicles during their shifts. In these cases, detectives were able to locate a small red 4-door sedan that seemed to be in the area of every burglary. The information was given out to the road patrol. Officer Strohauer, while working the night shift, located a car in the city that matched that description. He then relayed that information to Sergeant Turalski of the Detective Bureau. They took that lead and began to conduct surveillance on that vehicle. That vehicle led them to numerous other stolen cars from the Detroit area being used in these smash and grabs. During their investigation, a phone number was discovered and connected to be to the suspect vehicle. A search warrant for the phone revealed numerous calls to other cell phones. Tracking those cell phones led detectives to other suspects. During the investigation, detectives were advised by the Detroit Police Department that they had arrested subjects committing the act. The Westland Police detectives went to the Detroit Police Department and interviewed these suspects. Although the suspects were not very forthcoming with information, detectives were able to gather even more evidence and ultimately bring the suspects to justice. All subjects in this case were charged and prosecuted by the FBI in federal court. For their diligent work in tracking down suspects, locating them, and prosecuting them, Sergeants Turalski, Humphrey, Bobby, Boucher, Farrar, Gazdecki, Lease, Vidori, Lang, along with Officers Richardson, Neville, Compton, and Strohauer, are awarded Westland Police Department citations.
I could have them all walk to their seats and then come back up, but you can stay back up, everybody. Yeah, same group. All you guys come back up. This award covers reports 18-59-69, 18-14-858, and 18-42-030. All of those reports are reports involving heroin mixed with fentanyl. All of those reports are an overdose report that caused death. In all three of those reports, Westland police officers conducted complete, meticulous, labor-intensive investigations which resulted in the arrest of, at this time, 4 subjects for selling heroin causing death. This type of investigation can take weeks, months, or even years to complete and will expose officers to the worst parts of the opioid epidemic that most people never even hear about. Attention to detail is critical at all times, but it is especially true in these type of cases. From the road patrol officer that first gets a call, to the special investigation unit officers and the detective bureau officers that spend countless hours gathering information and establishing connections, executing search warrants, and then starting the process all over again. These 3 reports have led to, again, the arrest of 4 subjects, 2 of which who are serving federal prison time, and the other is waiting to be charged. Search warrants were conducted in neighboring cities and resulted in the large quantities of heroin mixed with fentanyl, assorted with other drugs, numerous firearms, to include an AK-47, and more evidence and information related to other overdose-causing death report cases that occurred in other cities. For their combined relentless effort in bringing justice to those victims of the opioid epidemic and to their surviving families, these officers are hereby awarded the Westland Police Department Departmental Commendation Award. And Sergeant Turalski, can you stay up here for 1 second? Sergeant Turalski is being specifically recognized for his efforts in not only these cases, but several other overdose-causing death investigations. Sergeant Turalski has established himself as our lead investigator whenever we have this type of case. The complexity of this case requires a specific skill set and working knowledge of not only the ongoing criminal investigation involved, but also the criminal justice system requirements and timeframes involved in order to complete a successful prosecution. Sergeant Turalski is our expert. Sergeant Turalski's expertise in this area has been recognized not only by his supervisor and our department, but by other neighboring departments. Sergeant Turalski has brought great credit upon himself and the Westland Police Department. If another department has a question on this type of case, he is the man to go to. For taking the lead investigator role in each and every one of these cases, for countless interviews, search warrants, tracking down witnesses, both in and out of the city of Westland, for working till the work is done and providing justice to those victims who cannot speak for themselves, Sergeant Turalski is hereby awarded the Westland Police Department Certificate of Merit. I wanted to call that the Heat is On Award. And Sergeant Turalski, when he has that type of case, believe me, the heat is on. This next reward is going to be going to the entire Westland Police Department Special Investigations Unit. So if any of those officers are here, if not, we have their photographs. Throughout 2018, the Westland Police Department Special Investigations Unit made numerous arrests and large-scale drug seizures. Executing several search warrants on a weekly basis is common practice in this unit. For the safety of the officers involved and the safety of other witnesses involved, these investigation details are not being released at this time. This unit operates on the principle, if you sell drugs in the city of Westland, they will bring you to justice or they will bring justice to you. If you supply drugs to someone in the city of Westland, they will come to your home, wherever you live. They will bring you to justice or they will bring justice to you. Here are 3 of these cases. 18-17440, an investigation that started in Westland led to Lincoln Park, where a search warrant was executed on a residence. Over 1/2 kilo of cocaine was seized with over $4,000 cash. The suspects involved were brought to justice. 18-20200, an investigation that started in Westland led to Detroit, where a search warrant was executed on a residence. Over 1/2 kilo cocaine was seized, along with handguns and over $45,000 in cash. The suspects involved were brought to justice. 18-30287, an investigation that started in Westland led to Commerce Township and West Bloomfield. Over 17 pounds of packaged marijuana was seized, along with 25 marijuana plants, thousands of dollars in grow equipment, and over $48,000 in cash. This turned out to be a large-scale illegal distribution center that had also been stealing large amounts of electrical power 24 hours a day to supply their grow operation. All of the officers involved in this case agreed that Officer Neville's meticulous attention to detail and his willingness to take charge of the entire operation and to work above and beyond has distinguished himself as a true professional and brought great credit to himself and his unit. This is just a sample of some of the work done by the Westland Police Department Special Investigations Unit. For their dedication, professionalism, and willing to go and bring criminals to justice or bring justice to them, the Westland Police Department hereby awards each member of the Westland Police Department Special Investigations Unit the Westland Police Department Unit Commendation Award. In addition, for his efforts in case 18-30287, Officer Jason Neville is hereby awarded the Westland Police Department Individual Commendation Award. And now I'd like to turn it over to Deputy Chief Miller.
Thank you, Dan. My name's Brian Miller. I'm one of the two deputy chiefs here at the Westland Police Department. And over the past couple of years, I've had the pleasure of being one of the supervisors responsible for overseeing our community police officers. Anybody around the city knows just how active Officer Rodney Donald and Officer Chaim Kozak have been in getting out and presenting a positive image to the community. Although both officers have performed numerous commendable acts throughout the year, I am here to help recognize each of them for organizing a special event in 2018 that went above and beyond their normal call of duty. Before I call the officers up, I would also like to add, and I know they would agree, that these events would not have went off as well as they did without the help of numerous other people from the police department. I know specifically Sergeant Fruit and Sergeant Wilkie both helped out quite considerably with these things. But they were both of these events were kind of Chaim and Rodney's deal to run. So I'm going to start off by calling up Officer Rodney Donald. So Officer Donald is being recognized today for coming up with the idea for and organizing the first annual Westland Heroes Battle of the Badges. This was a fundraiser that was held at the Jefferson Barnes Community Vitality Center in Norwayne, with the proceeds benefiting the Norwayne Harvest Festival, which is an event that is held every fall. The Norwayne Harvest Festival is hosted annually by the Norwayne Community Citizens Council. The Battle for the Badges this year raised over $2,500 for the Harvest Festival, and that money went to purchasing school supplies for children in the Norwayne area. So it was a great opportunity to raise some money for the community. I also thought it was a great opportunity to have our officers and also people from the fire department outside of uniform in the community, so people in the community could see that, hey, we're not just a badge and a uniform, we're people just like everybody else. So I thought it went a great event that went to a great cause, and congratulations, Rodney. I would now like to call up Officer Chaim Kozak. So Officer Kozak, he recognized that traditional police open houses present problems for children with special needs and their families. Oftentimes, open houses will have lights and sirens and large crowds, and a lot of times that will present problems for children who are sensitive to loud noises or bright lights. So Officer Kozak recognized that there was a need out there to get this population in with the police department. He addressed these issues by organizing an open house specifically for children with special needs and their families. And he made sure that he had certain times blocked off where there weren't going to be any lights or sirens, so those kids could get in and see the equipment. He also made sure that our displays were friendly enough to where we could get the kids in and out. And it was really, really great. The event was well attended, and we received numerous positive comments and thanks from parents who told us they would never have been able to come to a traditional police open house, and this gave them an opportunity to come out and enjoy a day with their child. It also, again, allowed us an opportunity to make contact with the special needs community to let them know that the Westland Police Department is there to help work with them and help support them. The patience and kindness that our officers showed that day really was incredible. So I want to congratulate Chaim for coming up with this idea, organizing it. It was a great, great event. Thank you. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to our other Deputy Chief, Randy Theveridge.
I'd like to call up Officer Little, K-9 Hemi. Tonight, not only are we recognizing the men and women of the Westland Police Department, our fellow officers from neighboring communities, we're also recognizing one of our K-9s, K-9 Hemi. The Westland Police Department K-9 program started in 1997. Since that time, there have been 5 handlers and 7 K-9s. Little about K-9 Hemi. He was born March 28, 2013 in Germany. A master trainer from the Von der Haas Gill Kennel in Ohio traveled to Germany in 2014. Believing that Hemi had the traits and instincts to be a police K-9, the trainer brought Hemi and several other dogs back to the United States where they went through thorough trainings and evaluations. On May 15, 2014, Westland Police Officer Mike Little picked Hemi out of a group of dogs at the Von der Haas Gill Kennel. Hemi was brought back to Westland to begin training with Officer Little. Hemi was trained in narcotics detections, tracking, building searches, evidence searches, obedience, and aggression. Hemi was certified on July 23, 2014, and become the 7th K-9 for the city of Westland. Once certified, the training does not end for the K-9 or the officer. Officer Little and Hemi continue to train together every week and have logged more than 1,500 hours of training time together. Hemi has been Officer Little's scout car partner ever since he was certified and was used on an average of 300 times per year. While serving the city of Westland as residents, Hemi was deployed over 1,400 total times. And this does not count the numerous community events, school visits, and other community fairs that Hemi and Officer Little attended. In 2017, Hemi was awarded the unit commendation for assisting the Special Investigations Unit with locating over 2 kilos of cocaine. In 2018, Hemi was issued a unit commendation for assisting with locating and apprehending a suspect who had just robbed a store. In 2019, Officer Little was promoted to sergeant, and K-9 Hemi was officially retired from duty on February 19, 2019. K-9 Hemi now lives out his retirement at home with Sergeant Little and their family. We would like to recognize K-9 Hemi for his years of service with the Westland Police Department. K-9 Hemi, hired 5/15/2014, retired 2/19/2019. In recognition of your faithful service and dedication to the citizens of Westland, Officer Little, and to the Westland Police Department. Now I'd like to call Chief Jed Ruzick up to the microphone.
Hi, thank you. My name is Jeff Jedrusik. I'm the Chief of Police of the Westland Police Department, and I'm proud to be able to give out this last award for the evening. So I want to start off by saying at the end of each year, we review the accomplishments of our police officers. An accomplishment to us is not just numbers, but consistent productivity, it's quality police work, it's professionalism, it's a proactive work ethic, it's dedication to the city of Westland, and it's compassion. The Westland Police Officer of the Year distinguishes himself by actions throughout the year. Excuse me. These actions far exceed duty requirements expected of his position, both on and off duty. In 2018, there were many examples of great police work and acts of heroism. There were several officers who were also well-deserving of such an honor. Even though it was a tough decision, I feel that a single police officer distinguished himself above all others. So at this time, I'd like to invite up Officer Derek Gomez to come and join me up on the stage. A little bit about Officer Gomez. Officer Gomez is simply a proactive and productive police officer. And a lot of this information I have here isn't just me as the chief of police getting up here spouting off. This is stuff that's said by his peers and is said directly from his supervisors. But Officer Gomez is a true leader amongst his shift who continues to represent the Westland Police Department well. He's been with the department and he's approaching 6 years of service with the Westland Police Department. He's a member of our Westland Police Tactical Response Unit. In 2018, he made 3 separate arrests of people illegally carrying concealed weapons on their person. He also made more than 20 felony narcotic drug arrests. He leads his shift with proactive criminal arrests, and he's also developed numerous criminal informants for our Special Investigations Unit. But beyond police work, there's an employee and a personal element to this award also, and that's what's key to me. The thing about Officer Gomez is he always brings a positive attitude to his job, which motivates his peers to be more engaged in their work. He's an enjoyable person to be around. He keeps the mood of police work light with his easygoing humor and his demeanor. Lastly, and most important, he's proud to be a Westland police officer. So at this time, as the Chief of Police, I am honored to present Officer Derek Gomez as the 2018 Police Officer of the Year. And as Police Officer of the Year, I'm going to put him on the spot, and I'm going to have him say a couple of words up here for his award. So.
Thank you, Chief. So Sergeant Wilkie asked me if I wanted to say a few words after accepting this award. My first thought was absolutely not. There are going to be a lot of people there, and the majority of them have 2 eyeballs, which virtually doubles the amount of things looking at me. But after I got over all that, I thought to myself, how could I not take a few minutes to acknowledge the people who loved, supported, encouraged, and coached me to this point in my life. Thank you, Mom and Dad. I couldn't have asked for 2 better people to love and raise me. Thank you to my mother and father-in-law for accepting me into your family with open arms and giving me the opportunity to find the love of my life. Thank you to my beautiful wife for loving me and supporting me, for blessing me with a beautiful family, for motivating me to be a better person, but most importantly, thank you for all the desserts you make for our Sunday dinners. I'm extremely grateful for the opportunity to do this job. I work with some of the most unique, caring, and selfless people that make me strive to be better. Thank you to my sergeants and my lieutenants who have taken my mistakes, turned them into coaching or learning opportunities, and made me a better officer. A huge thank you to my brothers and sisters I work alongside. Thank you for teaching me, laughing with me, sometimes at me. Thank you for being genuinely good people and doing everything in your power to make sure we all go home to our families at the end of our shift. Thank you to everyone involved with putting the ceremony together. We all appreciate your hard work. Thank you for this award, and thank you to everyone for being here and showing your support tonight.
Truly deserving, so. Well, as we close out the night, I want to leave everyone with some final thoughts. We stood up here tonight and we recognized many acts of heroism and great police work. But what is sometimes overlooked is the simple day-to-day public service duties and crime deterrent measures that these officers perform every single day. Last year, the FBI released its most recent State of Michigan crime statistics. The city of Westland has continued to see a downward trend in both property crime and violent crime, and most significantly drops in crimes such as robberies, aggravated assaults, burglaries, larcenies, and motor vehicle thefts. Kind of like the mayor said earlier, violent crime and property crime in the city of Westland are at the lowest level in the past 10 years. And this is a direct result of simply two things. It's the proactive measures taken by the Uniform Patrol Division and the diligent manner in which our investigative bureaus follow up on all of these crimes. As a result, most criminals now know simply it's a smarter move not to commit a crime in the city of Westland. And lastly, what I want to say is it's a very difficult time to be a police officer. These men and women are doing the most dangerous job in the world at probably the most dangerous time to do it. Despite the daily dangers, despite the stresses on their bodies, despite the negative criticisms we sometimes see in the media, these officers put that uniform on every day with pride to serve. They leave their families at home to come to work to protect other people's families, and that's what I think is key right there. So beyond the awards given tonight, I want to personally thank all the Westland police officers, the dispatchers, Westland firefighters for their continued dedication for keeping the city of Westland a safe place to live, raise families, and to go to work every day. So thank you all, and thank you all for coming tonight, and that's it. Good night.